where we'll be having enough resources to help entrepreneurs who are coming with for registering their patents or trademarks, domestic as well as international. So these are the encouragements, and I'm glad to note that very young professionals have joined this program as faculties, and I'm sure the participants are going to get a lot of opportunity to gain a lot of knowledge. And I request everyone to take full advantage of this program and also avail the benefits which are being given by the Ministry of MSME. So with these words, you can start this program. I wish the organizers and the faculties, everyone, the participants, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akadas. I would like to mention that Mr. Akadas is the MSME director, and he's been, helping us through the, through the MSME activities, and he's been on behalf of the MSME Ministry of Small Scale Industries. He has been helping on the bringing the MSME perspectives and conducting all such programs, which has always benefited the members and on a constant basis, month on month. Thank you so much, Mr. Akadas, for joining and for honoring all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be leaving now.
Sure, sir. Oh. So we have Mrs. Suman, ma'am, who is the Assistant Director at MSME-DI, Rajajinagar, Bengaluru. This event is actually an initiative by Mr. Akadas and Mrs. Suman, ma'am. In fact, they have been the idea behind bringing this kind of a webinar on a full-scale pan-India basis. And I'm so thankful to Mr. Akadas and Mrs. Suman, ma'am, for bringing such an initiative forward and bringing all the speakers, eminent speakers, for such a wonderful, full-fledged webinar which we are conducting across pan-India. And we had received tremendous feedback on the conduct on this presentation. Hopefully, we should see the participants joining in soon. We already have 40 people who have joined so far. And yeah, let us hear it from Mrs. Suman, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to you. You're on mute, actually.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, Vidya, can we have the slide?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I think, yeah, slides are already in. We should be able to, I hope you're able to see the screen, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, good morning, everyone. I think we are having the participants joining. So we thought that we should start the program as early as possible because we have a lot of topics to be covered, and we already have received a lot of questions during the registration period. So one by one, we also want to address to those questions during the the presentation, or probably after the presentation, or even after the program also. I'm very happy that we've got such a beautiful, such a tremendous response, and thank you all so much for joining this session. So quickly, before we go to the subject IPR and branding for MSMEs, I wanted to just give a small introduction as to what are all the activities of our ministry, in particular the MSME Development Institute, because what we observed during the registrations, there are a lot of new enterprises, new SMEs which have registered, and many of them are unaware of our institute. In fact, our MSME Development Institute is the one-stop solution for development and providing technical consultancy for people to start their own business. That is, we are encouraging entrepreneurship in the central level. We are a central government organization and we have been here from the past 60 years, and we are there. We have MSME institutes all over India in every states, and we also cater to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We are more working towards the rural development. So these are the brief activities of MSME. We want to popularize the entrepreneurship among youth. As you all know, it is difficult to get the government job these days, or even try to join elsewhere. It is very difficult to get jobs. So we try to popularize entrepreneurship among youth and motivate them to adopt it as their career. See, the other main activity we do is giving the techno-managerial awareness to the new and existing enterprises. When you start, when you have an idea and you don't know how to go about it, and want to avail financial assistance, or want to have some grievance about an existing enterprise that you already own, these are all the kinds of activities that we take up in MSME. We give them the awareness as to how to start a new enterprise. If you need skill development, what you have to do. If you want to supply to the government, what is the procedure? If you want to employ people, how do you do it? If you want to have assistance in marketing promotion, we try to help you out with that. So there are a lot many activities in and around the entrepreneurship business. So when you have, when these are the things for the new enterprises. Now, if you have an existing MSME and you have a grievance as to you're not getting the probably from a large enterprise or from a ministerial body, if you're not getting the payment for the services provided or the products that you have supplied. So for that also, we give you the assistance as to what you have to do. So these are the type of activities that we take up in our institute. As you are seeing, we are organizing such kinds of and you can say the management development programs, or the technical programs, the motivation campaigns, entrepreneurship development, and likewise. So these kind of programs that we organize are mainly for MSMEs to bring awareness, to gain knowledge, to upgrade the MSMEs, or probably the quality upgradation or the technical upgradation or whatever. How do we do it? We link and coordinate with the industrial development functionaries like the state governments, the central PSUs, the state PSU, the district industry center, the National Small Industry Corporation, the Khadi village industries, and such other state and central government departments. We also are into preparation of directories of specific industry. Like if you want to know how many MSME units, MSMEs are there under this specific sector, say in the pharmaceutical sector. If you want to know how many MSMEs are doing the pharmaceutical activities and related activities, we have a directory. Or even if we do not have a directory of the sector that you're asking for, we are always ready to prepare such kind of directory. So what is MSME? You have been listening to this word MSME, MSME everywhere. So what is this MSME? This is micro, small and medium enterprises. So how they are defined as according to the investment in plant and machinery or equipment and annual turnover. Earlier, there was this classification that manufacturing industry would be classified on investment in plant and machinery, and service sector would be classified on investment in equipment. But this July 2020 onwards, the categorization of manufacturing and service bifurcation has been removed, and the investment is made uniform in terms of plant and machinery and equipment and annual turnover of MSMEs. So when you see the annual turnover and the investment, which is on your screen. The micro is investment not more than 1 crore, an annual turnover not more than 5 crore. The small is categorized as investment above 1 crore and lesser than 10 crore, and annual turnover above 5 crore and below 50 crore. The medium will be the investment in plant and machinery and equipment above 10 crore and up to 50 crore, and the annual turnover will be above 50 crore and not more than 250 crores. This is how the classification is done. So this annual turnover, what is the criteria? How do you decide on the annual turnover? It is decided on the audited balance sheet that at the end of the financial year, when you get the audited balance sheet, depending on the audited balance sheet only, the turnover is classified.
Okay. You should be able to see this next screen, ma'am. Manan, I think you're on mute. Yeah.
So, how do you register yourself? Yeah, this is one of the most important documents for all entrepreneurs and MSMEs. This is like the important documents when you want to avail the state government or the central government schemes, or even if you want to register yourself as a vendor with the public sector units, they always ask you the document of Udyam registration. So if you are running a manufacturing or a service business and you have not registered, you can register under this Udyam registration, which is the 8 domains are given, mainly udyamregistration.gov.in. If you are an existing business and you already have a small scale certificate, it is compulsory that you upgrade yourself by registering in this portal. So you can always put your old certificate number, the Udyog Aadhaar number or the EM Part 2 number, and upgrade your MSME certification. So this is free of charge, and the documents required for registration of this MSME is you need an Aadhaar card, you need a PAN card. GST registration is not mandatory, although, but it is preferable. You need a bank account. It need not be a current account immediately, but it is always preferable to have a current account. So, how is the Ministry of MSME going to spread its activities all over India? It is through the creation of the industrial ecosystem in the state. Every state has MSME development institutes which work with the respective state governments and the other industrial affiliations and the district industry centers, wherein they try to upgrade the skill which is in demand. We have schemes for the MSMEs to be followed. We have the new awareness program, the new product awareness development program. We also have workshops. We also have seminars. So we are trying to create a sort of an industrial ecosystem in the state. Like the subsidy, for example, if you see MSMEs are given the current subsidy, the water subsidy. Now we are trying to see that MSMEs, if they are going out of the state to participate in any exhibition or to have the knowledge of a new product development, we also are trying to see that a certain amount of the travel to and fro fare is being reimbursed. Although it has not been decided, it has not come on paper yet, it is almost decided that MSME should be given some sort of reimbursement if they are traveling on work outside their home state. So the other thing is we have so many schemes, right from the idea generation to the procurement and marketing support. So through the idea generation, if you are having an idea, we at MSME Development Institute will try to help you to avail certain schemes and see that the idea is commercialized. So how do we do it? We have skill development programs. We have the lean manufacturing. If you are in the manufacturing sector, we have the design cleaning scheme. Then we have the intellectual property rights, which is the main scheme that we are going forward now. The quality accreditation. We have the digital MSME for people who have not digitalized yet. We have the procurement and marketing support. Every MSME need not avail all the schemes, and every MSME can avail the scheme which they are interested in. Now, suppose people are having the skill development and want to go for IPR, we also guide them into going in for the IPR. Now, when you come to the IPR scheme, we have major and minor activities. The major activities are the financial assistance on grant of patent or registration under the geographical indications of goods or trademarks. For a domestic patent, we have a maximum grant of 1 lakh per proposal, and we have the 5 lakhs for foreign patent per proposal. We also have trademark reimbursement. We have rupees 10,000 for reimbursement of trademark charges. And we have the assistance for setting up of IP facilitation center. So we are trying to see that more and more, the small MSMEs or more industrial association turn into IPFCs. The IPFCs are the intellectual property facilitation centers who will be recognized by the Ministry of MSME so that they can assist the MSMEs in the nearby surrounding areas. So we have a grant of 100 lakhs from the Ministry of MSME to open up an IPFC. So there are many of MSMEs, when they come to our office, they ask, why do I need to brand? Now, the question what we ask everybody is, here also I would want to ask, would you want to buy something which is unbranded? Would you like to see that your company grows from local to national to international? Now, see what happens is when you have an unbranded product, even when you want to place it online for marketing, even they will not agree because you don't have a brand. Nowadays, they're insisting that you have a brand as well as a barcode. Why are they insisting? Because branding gives you a better business. It gives you a unique identification. The IPR scheme is to provide awareness on all these things. Intellectual property. So we have had questions wherein people have asked, it costs us more to buy an IP. So I would say even if the cost is more, you feel, it is an asset, it is not a liability. Would you like it? These are the questions that I always ask them. Would you like it if your enterprise logo is copied? Just as you can see the examples there, it doesn't look good because we are all aware that every brand has its own identity. So I would suggest and request everybody, for those who have not taken IP yet, going for IP, it is an asset.
Yeah.
So these are the focus sectors which we are looking at from the Karnataka Industrial Policy 2020-2025. These are the sectors wherein right now we are, monitoring our schemes into. So we have something called ease of doing business. It is not as cumbersome as people think government schemes are. We have a single window clearance mechanism. We have simplification of processes and procedures. And we also have a grievance portal wherein you can voice your grievance. So I think you can utilize our schemes and portals and to the best of your benefit. This is a general slide wherein what documents that MSME should possess. So Udyam registration, which is compulsory, it's mandatory. the Aadhaar, PAN, GST, bank account details, the quality certifications, IE code, and the GEM. So we are at Rajajnagar Industrial Estate, the MSME Development Institute. You can always contact us for any of your needs.
So, Ms. Suman ma'am, I think would you be able to also touch upon on the number of development institutes MSME has, the ministry has actually come up with in the different regions of Karnataka and other ways?
Okay. We have around 70 MSME-DIs all over India, with the main branches in the state capitals and the other in the tier 2 cities in the different states and union territories as well. We also have branches in Lakshadweep and Andaman Nicobar Islands. In Karnataka, we are at Bengaluru, we are at Hubli, we are at Mangalore, and the branch office at Gulbarga.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes.
So I just want to set the context here because, ma'am, would you do you have anything else to add on?
I think we would, I would like to take questions at the end of the session because we already have experts waiting to talk.
Absolutely.
So I think we should go ahead.
Correct. Yeah. So just the setting out the context, I would, emphasize that all the participants, when it comes to branding, it's not about only creating the brand identity. You should be able to acquire your customers well with that brand identity, the value which you create through your business and grow your business. I think it definitely depends on the branding and how do you price your items, or the products or services for that matter. That definitely also depends very much on the branding as well. And attrition has always been a pain point in the MSME segment. Unless you brand yourself and create a space for yourself in the market, the attrition also you should be able to curb that, because the talent which you are actually acquiring outside for your services or the products, whether it is to do with in-house, any of the roles which your employees are playing, they should have that connection with your brand. It definitely brand plays a number of ways, the branding plays a number of ways, how you actually are presented in the market, and you definitely distinguish your products and services and reputation, how you promote yourself in the market. It definitely depends on the branding. Very important aspect for the especially for the startups and the MSMEs, that you even look at low scale or small scale ways of branding yourself. If not, you're not able to do campaign and the bigger efforts. You should be able to do as simple as posts and graphics or ads, which actually enables you to bring in your brand identity in the market. And IPR services, I would also like to touch upon that. The law defines that the copyright, patent, or trademark are the main important intellectual properties. But if you have to consider 4 important things: the patent, design, copyright, and trademark. I think our speakers also will be touching upon these elements in detail. However, I wanted to mention that these are the 4 things typically anyone looks at when it comes to IPR services, and government also enforces certain responsibilities on the companies to save the IPR and their IP property, right? So with this, I would like to quickly mention that the crucial questions which you can look forward to see that, how do I build my brand? How do I increase my visibility for my brand and business? And how do I safeguard my brand? And how do I safeguard the interests of my company while running the business? These are the crucial questions which any MSME or the company should look forward to, and see how you can relate to each of these speakers' presentations in terms of what they are talking. And quickly, I wanted to mention that yes, you need to upgrade yourself in terms of how you're actually visible in the market, whether it is supply based or the demand based. Thank you so much for your participation. We have about 51 members, participants here. Hopefully, next I would like to pass on to Mrs. Ishween, for her presentation. Thank you so much, Ishween, for joining us. Honoring.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope this will be a useful and interesting session for everybody. Good morning to you all. Srividya, please.
Yeah, I'll just give me a second. So Ishween is from Brandwagon, and she would be doing the session on branding for us. Over to you, Ishween. Just a minute, I'll just bring in your presentation.
Yes, thank you so much, Srividya.
Yeah.
Okay. So just very briefly, I want to introduce what we are hoping to achieve in this session today. I'm hoping to demystify branding for the MSME sector, saying that it is not something so daunting that only the large corporates should be doing. It's something that you could do at even a small level, and in fact, one must do it because it's a need and not a luxury. Okay, as Suman ma'am said and how Srividya put it, you need to think about branding, and it is not very complicated, or at least it can be thought through at a smaller scale, but it is very, very, very important to distinguish yourself from the competition, to be able to compete. And no MSME would probably want to be sitting as an MSME all their lives. They would want to get towards the greater glory, and that is what we hope to do in this. Srividya, next slide, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so we start with basics. What really is a brand? So a brand is more than the product or service. It is the entire identity of an organization or a product or a service or an entity. A brand can even be a person or a persona. Like a celebrity is also a brand. Okay, so if it's a Shah Rukh Khan, that is also a brand which has certain values that you can identify with that celebrity. Similarly, any organization is also a brand. A product can also be a brand. A service can also be a brand. What a brand, and when you think about a brand and you start defining a brand, what it does is it communicates internally within your organization and externally to the world. What is it that you stand for? What is the vision of this organization or product or company? And what is it that it promises to deliver to its customers? What is it that it promises to deliver to its stakeholders, whether external or internal? And how that customer or stakeholder experience then aligns with what you have defined as your brand. The third thing that a brand really does is it sets you apart. Like we were saying, what is it that makes you you versus the rest of the competition in your category of your industry? That is what the brand does. So it is ultimately an entirety of your identity, your values, your vision, your product, your service, what you will do and what you won't do. So all of this put together is your brand. Okay. Normally the confusion happens when people think it's about logo and colors and this. That is at the execution level. But the brand actually stands for all of this. What is it that you stand for? And then how you communicate it consistently, that is called branding. Srividya. So what does good branding look like? There are only 3 values that you will identify when you decide that I'm going to do this branding. Okay. It needs to be clear. Okay. It should clearly communicate what you stand for and what you don't stand for immediately. Okay. It doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, if you think of the best brands, they are actually very, very simple in their logo and their communication. It has to be absolutely one idea, one central communication, very, very simple. It has to be absolutely clear. In a sea of competition, what is it that sets you apart? That is clarity. It has to be concise. The brand is only you. not something else. It cannot be. In one glance, somebody should be able to say, okay, this is this brand, whatever brand you think of. If it's Pepsi, if it's McDonald's, if it's Google, immediately you say, okay, this is this brand. And it's in one single glance. And the third thing is consistency. Now, consistency makes sure that you are recognizable in the market. Okay, but we will talk a little bit about how the new norms are coming up, where consistency is becoming like an old school value. Brands like Google, for instance, are saying we can change our logo every day and we will still be recognized, right? So there is this new normal, new thinking, which is bringing in adaptability and growth into brand thinking as well. But yes, there are certain values which will be consistent with the brand. So that part remains the same. Okay, so as I was saying, there is the old school thinking which says that once you have done your brand thinking, it is given forever, it's written in stone, don't fix it if it isn't broke, just keep going with it. The new normal, like I said, we are living through COVID times, we are adapting our work environment, our businesses have to respond very quickly to the market changes and challenges. So as all of this adaptability is happening, plus the fact that so much of the business is happening online, that itself has created a lot of niche demand, which I think is a huge opportunity for MSMEs, because now it's a distributed market. In a distributed market, the advantage is you can respond as with your products and services, and so with your branding. So this is the new normal. Like I said, the example of Google, that you have to keep adapting and changing and yet to remain recognizable and clear and consistent. Okay, so the other question that I get a lot is that, is branding only necessary for B2C brands? Only consumer brands, is that what branding is required for? Or should businesses which are selling to businesses also do branding? And here is a very interesting takeout that has come from research. The emotional connect that is felt by a customer towards another brand is actually surprisingly higher for B2B brands. For example, if you look at this chart, Cisco is at the helm of the amount of emotional connect somebody feels with the brand. And the reason why this actually happens is because a business is depending on something which is A, high value, and B, is probably required. Let's say you had to buy a plant machinery or something. Now, for that, you will actually be more committed to buying the right kind of brand. Let's say you had to buy a tractor and you wanted it to be a certain, let's say Mahindra or whatever you think. You will trust that more because the size, the value of your thing is. So in this also, the thing to think about is, don't think of branding as something distant from you. All of us are using brands in our daily lives. So there must be a reason why you pick up a particular soap, you pick up a particular shampoo, and more importantly, you pick up things like which are high value items. Like, why do you choose the car that you do? Okay, why do you choose? This is where these brand elements, there is a connection that we feel, there is a certain promise that comes with the brand, and then our customer experience then strengthens the whatever the brand value was. So that is what we need to build in our own brands, even in the MSME sector. Srividya?
Yeah.
Okay. Srividya and Suman ma'am touched a little bit upon this, and I am in complete agreement. I have nothing spectacular to add. Yes, it's very significant that one must have a good brand. There are three main reasons why one should develop a good brand. One is outreach, of course. The better your brand, the more connections you will have. Okay. If you don't have branding, you can still sell through word of mouth in your own circuit. But if you want to reach out to an end customer, you need to have a good brand. somebody who's not connected with you and who is only experiencing you through your communication. Okay, when you're not there, your brand is still representing you. Okay, so outreach becomes so much better. Outreach also then leads to growth. Ultimately, we are in business to make money. So yes, more customers, more trust, more you know, a better reputation. All of this will ultimately lead to more conversions and more business and more growth. And the third thing is the kind of impact you have as a big brand in the world. Again, to reiterate, one may start small, but the dream always is for greater glory. So how do you go towards greater glory? You have to have an impact. A good brand has a huge impact on its customers and its stakeholders. Okay, so this is one way which the benefits of branding are defined. Okay, from a customer point of view. Okay, what does a customer get when he's looking at a brand? And you can again look at your own usage of certain brands, and we'll do a short workshop at the end of this, a short exercise just to say it is not something so complex and so distant that we cannot start evolving our own brand from where we are, even at a small scale, but one needs to have some kind of a definition of brand. So from a customer point of view, there are of course the functional benefits. Whatever it is that your product or service does, okay, whatever that attribute is, whatever functionality it provides. But there are two other layers which make the brand the brand. One is the emotional benefits. What do I feel when I use it? For example, I've bought an i10. What do I feel a Hyundai i10? What is it that I emotionally feel that I am the owner of this versus somebody who bought a Mercedes? They must be feeling something. Also, what does it say about the person who bought it? Because the brands, the bigger brands, actually start giving you values of saying, if you use this brand, then it makes you something greater than yourself. Now, this is the aspirational aspect that brands create, which is why a lot of people buy the brand and are more importantly willing to pay a premium for the brand. So the actual product cost may be much smaller, but because you've created this sort of emotional and self-expressive benefit built into the brand, therefore people are willing to pay the premium. So exactly like the stuff that chart that Suman ma'am was showing, you could be an unlabeled kind of thing, which you are almost like a commodity, versus building a brand. The same product cost, somebody who is willing to pay higher just because you've bundled in the entire value, which is the brand. Srividya?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I was referring to earlier. Very, very simple. These are everyday brands that we are all used to and we instantly recognizable. This is what I call examples of branding which is being done right. It is less is more because there is no need to make it very, very complicated. In fact, the simpler you make it, the easier it is to be recognized, the easier it is for your brand values to be communicated, and how you stand out from everybody else in the clutter, in a sea of competition in all of these categories. Next, Srividya. Okay, so now comes the nitty-gritty of what brand guidelines are. So as a person who does consulting for branding and development of brand, what we normally do is we prepare what is called a brand guideline, and I'll very briefly take you through what that contains. Nothing very, very complex. It basically is a document that says, here is the brand identity, and it'll now this is what usually people think is the brand guideline. No, this is just a way of visually saying this is what your brand stands for, but the exercise which comes before it, which is the more complex one, where the organization's values, passion, leadership, stakeholders all come together and debate and discuss what the brand stands for and what its values are. But ultimately it translates into a document which says what will be your logos. There could be logo the full logo, which is used, let's say, on your print medium. There could be logos and which could be used, let's say, on your videos. There could be icons which you would use there. And iconography is again another thing. The colors that you use, which represent whatever feeling that you want to evoke in your customer. That typography, the imagery. Now, this is where the design part and, let's say, you know, the brand thinking translating into design comes into play. The imagery, again, that's very important. What kind of illustrations and artwork you would use, and what is the voice and tone. The brand also has a language. It could be a friendly brand, or it could be a, you know, unapproachable brand, or it could be a premium brand. Again, the whole tone of voice with each brand would change. So a premium brand would not want to appear so accessible, whereas a brand which wants to reach out to anybody and everybody wants to appear more warm and friendly. So it is important for companies to take time, even MSMEs to take time to create their brand guidelines, to just achieve those 3 points which we're saying: clarity, consistency, and let it be concise. Thank you, Srividya. This is just an example of, even when you build a brand guideline document, in the writing of the document itself, you kind of show that this is the look and feel of what the brand will be about. And then you start staying within those guidelines. Are the guidelines there forever? Will they ever change? No, 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 of course they can change. Even very, very big brands have done a rebranding exercise, but it's a complex exercise. But yes, all of this should at one point be there as a guiding document. It's literally the document which will guide how all your stationery will look, how your print will look, how your communication in any medium will look. Srividya? Okay, so here comes the one which is the most important for all of us. Why should one do branding in the MSME sector? A lot of us have covered some parts of this. The important thing is we are in an MNC dominated world, and MSMEs also need to compete in that same world. You may be in whichever product category or industry, you're still competing with the big ones. And so you also need to strongly establish yourself. By establishing a strong brand, you are showing an image of competence and sincerity, and you're building a reputation, you're creating trust in your customers, in your stakeholders, and perhaps when you're looking for funding, etc. All of these people will be impressed if your brand is communicating that it is serious. It's a serious brand. It's there to stay. It can expand. It can grow. The thinking has gone into it. And of course, yes, in the immediate level, outreach, like we said, growth, ultimately conversions and customers. And even in terms of recruitment, your brand is not just for customers. What about the people that want to join you? People want to work for big brands. Why? Because even that gives them a value, right? If I've worked for a big company, which is a big brand, then my CV holds higher value, and therefore you recruit a certain kind of talent. And again, your business therefore grows because of it, rather than appearing like mom and pop shop. So yeah, you can start from anywhere, but if you can show branding, it cuts across all stakeholders, not just customers. It goes to your potential employees, it goes to potential investors, and it goes to all stakeholders. And that is why MSMEs should do this. Okay, so here is an exercise. Srividya, do we have time for this, or should we go to questions? Unmute, please.
Yeah, this seems to be the last slide, right? You please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask people to just do a little exercise if we have time. Otherwise, questions.
Yeah. You have 10 more minutes. Please go ahead.
Oh, sure. So here is what I would like to do. Ignore what's on the slide. This is just a small exercise. I would like you to think about, and we have about 47 people here. So whoever's following through on this, one question I have for everybody is, think of 3 brands that you use in your daily life and why you have chosen them. What is it that you think they provide to you? If you have paper and pencil, if somebody would like to answer this, please unmute. How do we do this, Srividya?
Yeah, they can unmute and then talk, or they can put the content in the chat.
Yes. So question number 1 is, think of 3 brands that you use in your daily life and why you thought of using them. What is it that they stand for? Anybody who's... is anybody in the chat box?
No, none in the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, Patanjali and ITC, Krishna Balaya has said. Shyam has said Samsung cell phones, quality and reliability and service.
Lovely. That's absolutely. So yeah, I mean, you're not even looking at the product itself. Just by saying Samsung, you've thought of values of Samsung.
Yeah. Sai Padma has said.
Is that Airtel or Ariel? Sorry, Ariel.
Ariel, yes. Sai Padma has said Google for fast answers. Google for fast answers.
Okay, interesting. So we did touch upon Google as a brand which has done it right. Prestige, somebody said. Whoever said Prestige, what do you think Prestige does?
He's mentioned brand, Prestige as brand, Yashi Tandon.
Yashi Tandon, I think that's the name.
Yeah.
Somebody said.
Yeah, it is a good brand to use in the kitchen.
Okay, you meant the, okay. All right, good in the sense of what? Are you depending on it? Is it
yeah, maybe the small mixies or even a cooker or everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you expect it to last long? Is that the value you're getting?
Yeah, because it's known and you rely on known brands.
All right. Somebody said Shri Ayurveda. Okay, interesting. Nokia. Okay, this is very interesting. Sai Padma. Is Sai Padma there?
Yes.
Yes. You said Nokia.
Because of the taglines,
Yes.
The tagline stayed with me longer than Nokia stopped working, maybe or moved or something,
Yes, absolutely. So here is the interesting thing. We are actually remembering these taglines and we are actually assuming that they are the brand. For example, one I find very interesting is, and a lot of people question this, is, people say, when you ask an audience saying, Thanda matlab, Thanda yani, and people say Coca-Cola, like, why? That isn't, Thanda could be anything. It could be Ruh Afza, it could be water, it could be anything. But like, what strong branding? Similarly, Nokia connecting people. So many things connect people. But Nokia, yes, they've got it. The tagline has won it. And that is really the value of the brand. Again, a very, very quick exercise. We don't have too much time. But if you were to now start thinking about your own MSME, product or service, and think about 2 or 3 values that your brand stands for, what would they be? Anybody who wants to take a stab at this? This is the sort of exercise a branding consultant will take you through, basically, to try and understand what is it that your brand stands for, which is only uniquely your brand and cannot be matched by somebody else within the same segment.
If I may talk, I'm Sai Padma.
Go ahead.
We are in making of millet rotis.
Okay.
Millet rotis. This thing, if I have to talk about my brand, we named it as Milli. The machine compatible, easy to make jowar bajra rotis.
Okay, so that's three values that you've already thought about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sai Padma. For anybody else who would like to take a stab at this, what are 2 or 3 brand values that you associate with whatever brand product that you are? Srividya, any answers in the...
I think Oneida TV cannot forget the character with horn on head.
No, we are on to the next question, Srividya, which is now we're talking about their own brands.
The
Again, the
next, I think, healthy and ease of use is what is mentioned.
Sorry, who is that?
Krishna
Somebody
Balaya.
is there. Want to take a stab at this?
Yeah. See, I'm working on healthy alternatives for meat. So these are vegan alternatives. So since it's a new product, I'm working on innovating the product itself so that it's easy to use. So it comes pre-marinated, and it should be, any homemaker or a professional person should grab a packet end of the day and cook it and have a good experience.
Sorry, I didn't get exactly what your product was. There was a bit of noise.
I am working on pre-marinated vegan alternatives for meat.
Ah, okay. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And an amazing branding opportunity.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes. Anybody else wants to take a stab at it? Otherwise, we'll go to the questions.
Yeah. There is Sindhuja DC who has mentioned e-Vadikai. We are connecting sellers and customers, it seems, e-commerce solution.
Okay. Would you
There
like
is-
to talk about your brand values?
Yeah, there is Shyam Swaroop Tamineni who has mentioned MSME product pickles, spice up your life and brand value quality.
All right. Very good. Quality, again, is something I would say everybody will claim quality. So if it can be more particular, what is it that this particular pickle provides, which no other pickle provides? That is the way to think of a value, brand value. Only I do this, nobody else does it in my segment. That is the way to identify it as a value. Every pickle maker will say they have great quality. Right?
Shilpa Narayanan has mentioned no compromise on quality and assured transformation of one's consumerism model through my service.
Okay, that's a bit complicated for me. This brings me to the fact that let it be concise, let it be simple, very clear message. What is it that your brand stands for? But I think we're getting there. Everybody is at least going to be able to, and I'm sure all of you have thought about your brand and what its values are. The only guidelines are keep it simple. Google has not made something complex. McDonald's has not made something complex. Don't think of complexity as anything that big program. In fact, they simplify. They make it short, they make it concise, they make it clear, they make it to the point, and they say, only I can do this, nobody else in the market. And then they take that value and they make it their own. Like connecting people, right? They literally owned something which is actually very generic and said, this is what we do.
Yeah, if I may be allowed to talk, this is our,
yes.
Am I visible? This is our...
Yes, hi Padma. You have to put it little up. You have to hold it little up. Yeah.
Can you able to see? Because here I am not able to see which one this is. This is our 6-pack millet roti pack, which we have given softy, tasty, and it's a ready-to-eat millet roti pack, that is.
Okay.
So, but my question here is like, by having like soft taste and all those things, will they make a good brand statements?
I would say that the way to approach it, and I should not be the one answering it, it should be your potential customers. So let's say you even talk informally also to, let's say, 10 potential customers who could be consumers of your roti. This is how I would go about it. Find out what is it after experiencing your product that they feel is something that this does which no other millet roti does. Right? If value which appeals to your customer, then yes, it's a brand value. It's a potentially good brand value.
Mostly what they said, it is easy to make. It is
yes.
easy
so
to
if,
make.
Yeah, easy to make is something I would go for easily. I mean, for me, I can't spend more than 2 minutes in the kitchen. So yeah, if you tell me something is simple and I'll have food at the end of it, I would go for it. But again, who's your potential customer? Are you targeting people who are on the go, who have to, you know, make their meals quickly? Then making a meal quickly is the biggest value there is in this segment, I would say.
Okay. So then,
but again, I would not base it on one person's thing, because I may not be your potential customer, right? Maybe I'm not a millionaire. So again, if you can do an informal bit of research with people and say, hey, try this out, give the sample, try it out, and say what is it, you know, just like how I did. Say 5 things that are different about this versus something else that you've tried in the past. And that's how you arrive at your brand value.
oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, like the words like the words like healthy, quality, those things are, though we have a claim that because the IFPT has given our floor that it is 0 gluten, but how to translate that into a right kind of brand value, because now there is a lot of demand for gluten-free stuff, right? I mean, that's people are talking post-COVID world. You know, people are you know, finicky about the way they eat their food and all.
But again, you need to peg it, I would say, Sai Padma, into one of these categories. Is it going towards your health conscious customer, which is looking for gluten free? Is it going towards somebody who's like on the go and wants a quick meal? Which is the one you're pegging on? Because again, you'll have to define your market. You'll have
why healthy can't be tasty?
It can. I mean, that's not what I'm debating. I'm just saying, don't do a whole bunch of things. Still core value and go with that.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Got it? All right. Thank you for your question. Thank you.
We'll go to the next slide in the interest of the time. I think there is one more last slide you have, Shreen.
Yeah, that was probably questions anyway, which we are taking. Okay. Key takeaways, just to wrap up this presentation, like we said, this is what I want should stay with the audience. Branding is an expression of one's essence and core values, which is what Sai and I were discussing just now. What is the core value that your brand provides? Not a whole bunch of things. Yes, you can have all of those qualities as well. And maybe if you're making a brochure or whatever, you can list out all of that. But one thing which will leave a lasting impression, which makes you you and makes you different from everybody else, is your core value. And you have to identify with that and go with that. The other thing that we learned, I want people to remember, is that a brand is ever evolving. It is also collaborative. No one person can sit over there, and especially if it is an organization with people. It is an exercise before you come to logo and before you come to colors. There is a whole bunch of thinking that needs to go into defining what is it that my brand stands for, and then also allowing with that guideline for a little bit of adaptability, because it is a changing market and changing scenario. And the third thing is, most importantly, the MSME sector needs to leverage brand consciousness and its impact on society. As Sai Padma was also saying, societal needs are changing, people becoming more health conscious. Again, in whichever dimension you are, your brand will have an impact on the society. And that is something that you can leverage, and that can also set you apart from, let's say, the large corporates, because you can be socially conscious. Those are the key takeaways I'd like people to remember. And with that, if there are no more questions, I thank you very much for your attention and for your participation. And thank you, Srividya, for inviting me. Thank you, all of you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ishreen. Ishreen actually comes with a fantastic experience. So been there as a brand wagon for her company, and she has been working with very eminent players in the market, Flipkart and other companies, and she has done tremendous work in this space from the brand development point of view, or the creating an entity in itself for any company to really create a brand for themselves and perform. It's a pleasure for me to have you here, Mrs. Ishreen, and a wonderful presentation. I must say that, every input, whatever you have given, it is, every word which you have spoken for us makes sense. Thank you so much. I would like to now invite Mrs. Vanita, who would be talking for us from an intellectual property perspectives here. Thank you, Vanita.
Thank you, Srividya. I request Mr. Deepak to share the screen. So while he does this, so we just heard about how to do brand management and what exactly is a brand, how we can put it in a better way from Ishwin, right? So a brand in layman term, if I put, it has to be different, it has to be unique, and this uniqueness is actually the foundation of intellectual property. Any of your intellectual property, it depends on its uniqueness and how different it is. So before that, I would like to thank for this opportunity. I would like to thank Mr. Akadas, the Director of MSME-DI Bangalore, Mrs. Suman Raju, Assistant Director MSME-DI Bangalore, and of course, Mrs. Srividya. Thank you so much, Srividya, for giving us this opportunity. Please note, all the intellectual property used in this session are owned by their respective owners, and White Money Consultants are discussing them only for education purpose. And we have no intention of infringement upon any of these brands, which will be focused or presented during our session, right? Yeah, next slide, Mr. Deepak. So the presentation flow will be something like this. We'll understand what is intellectual property rights, what are the types of intellectual property rights, trademark and its importance, the 4 common myths of trademark, special giveaways, and about our company, White Money Consultants. Next slide. Yeah. So what is intellectual property rights? The term intellectual property rights refers to the legal right granted with the aim to protect the creations of the intellect. Does it sound complicated? Yes, it does. In simple words, if I have to put, if you have created something very unique, then you must have the right to own it. It's very simple. If you have created something unique, then you should have the right to own it. Now, the definition of what is unique and what can be protected is where people like us will fall in picture. So let's understand what are the different types of intellectual property rights. The common ones, or the most common ones, would be copyrights, patents, and trademarks. But if you go in detail, next slide, please. So the intellectual property is like a bundle of rights. So it can be divided into 2 main portions. One is industrial property and one is copyright and related rights. Now, when it comes to industrial property, patents, trademarks, designs, geographical indications of source. And also one more important part of that would be, of patents, would be the trade secrets. And when it comes to copyrights and related, it is copyrights and broadcasting rights, rights of performing artists, etc. So these would be, as a whole, the intellectual property rights will be this bundle of rights. Now, one by one, let's try to understand in short what exactly these IPs are, the different types of IP. Let's start with patents. Now, patent, again, a legal right granted for a product or for a process. This right grants its owner the ability to exclude others from using, selling, making, or even importing a patented product or process without prior approval from the patent holder. Now, any process or invention can be patented. There are few do's and don'ts. Like, one would be, it has to be new, it has to be novel, it has to be unique and non-obvious in nature. It should have an objective and it should have industrial application. Now, the things which should, what all can be patented would be the functionability of the product or the process, the product or the system, the process or the method, improvements of existing art, and compositions or formulations. So these can be patented. Now, if I have to give you example, basic inventions when it comes to product will be like a light bulb or post-its or even a safety pin. Even the safety pins are actually patented. Now, when it comes to technology wise, there are several of them. Just one or two examples would be like the RFID or the Bluetooth. So these are the simple examples when it comes to the technology part. Now, one tip which I want to give when it comes to patent is, if you plan to patent something, ensure that it is not brought to the public domain, because once it's in public, you actually cannot patent. So make sure your patent is with you and not in public domain. Next slide, please. Yeah, so now let's understand the most important and the common thing when it comes to IP, the famous, I would say, the trademark one. So the trademark, as the name itself suggests, is combination of two words: trade, which means business, and mark, by which your customer identifies your business. In other words, any mark that differentiates a product or a service from other is a trademark. Now, what all can be trademarked? Name, logo, packaging, shape of goods, combination of colors, sounds, smell, all these things can be actually trademarked. And one example or one or two example which I can give is the Nike swoosh, the tick mark, that is a trademark. Or the Coca-Cola logo, that is a trademark. Or the Intel shine, that is a trademark. Now, the more distinct the trademark is, the better the chances of getting it protected or registered. So how to make it distinct? Few things we need to keep in mind while deciding on a brand or on a logo is fanciful or invented. Now, when I say fanciful or invented, when you come up with any name, make sure it's a coined word, it's an inventive word which has no meaning, but it is giving that impact. For example, Pepsi or Adidas, it is not giving any meaning, but it has that impact. And next would be the arbitrary words, like those words which do have a meaning, but are not related to the type of business you're doing. Here we can take the well-known Apple phones, it does have a meaning when I say Apple, but it is not telling what exactly business you're doing. So Apple phones or Orange Mobile, or these are the examples of such brands. Now, one more thing which you need to keep in mind, or one more type of trademark which you can do, is the suggestive names. Now, names that suggest what the product or the benefit is, but just short of describing them in detail. Now, the latest example for this would be the Covaxin. It is telling what the product is, but it is not explaining in detail what it is, that it is a vaccine which has come for so and so thing. So it is not explaining it in detail. There are a few more names which come. One is descriptive names. Now, names which describes the nature of business, like the mobile store. Now, it is telling what the product is and what they are selling under it. Words, words that people in the industry use it very regularly. Now, if I say example would be the dance academy, it clearly defines that, okay, it is an academy which teaches dance. Now, these are something which you need to keep on the, on the priority basis. So fanciful, arbitrary, suggestive are something which are okay, but descriptive and generic is something which I would say try to avoid, because there are at those times when getting them trademarked, it would be difficult. Can we go to the next slide? Deepak ji, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Thank you so much. So let's understand.
Vanita, just sorry to interrupt. There is a question from Shilpa that can you repeat what you meant by patent should not be in public domain, or to what extent it must be hidden?
Okay. So see, when you come up with an invention, the first criteria, and if you want to protect it, the first criteria is make sure it is still with you. Make sure you just don't distribute it, don't start marketing it or selling in the market. Don't make it public domain, which means that don't market it, basically, because once you market it, is out, and anyone can actually copy it and make one replica of it. That is why, because in patent, even 1 single second of patenting matters. Like if you have patented your invention at 12:17 p.m. on this date, on 8th of Jan 2020, then that is recorded. So whoever files the patent first would be the owner of it. Deepak, you want to add anything to this?
Yes, Vanita. Hi.
Yeah.
See, the first criteria for patentability is novelty. Novelty means that when you are filing for a patent of an invention, that invention has to be new in the sense that it should not be in any manner disclosed to public before the date of your filing the patent. And that is the reason Vanita said that before you file the patent, you should not make any public disclosure. Once you make a public disclosure before filing a patent, it by default means that the invention has already come into public domain. So anything which is in public domain cannot be granted a patent.
Yeah. So we'll just move ahead. I hope I have answered Shilpa. So let's move ahead to copyright, one more interesting IP. So when it comes to copyright, it's a natural right. Okay, it's a natural right given or an exclusive right given to the creator of the work. What it protects the expression of the idea and not the idea being expressed. Now it is also being an automatic right, we do need to register. Why is it so? I'll explain you that, but before that, let's understand what all can be copyrighted. The things which can be copyrighted are literary work, like your if you write a book or something like those literary works can be done. Artistic work like pictures, paintings, photography. Musical work like tunes, notes, sound recording, cinematographic films like movies, ads, and dramatic work. Now it is an exclusive right? But why did I say that you need to copyright? So on a particular day, if you need to prove at the court of law that you were the one who wrote this book, you need some evidence. And that is the reason we need to protect copyright and get it registered. So any day if somebody questions you or if you find someone infringing on your copyright work, you have a legal evidence to prove that you're the one who actually first protected. And most important, it is valid across the world, like across the 148 countries. So that is the best part of copyright. Next slide, please. Let's move to design patents. Now, design patent is part of patent. Yes, utility. There are patent is of two types. One is utility patent and one is design patent. Now, a design patent is form again a legal protection granted to the ornamental design of a functional item. In short, it protects what things look like, their shape, their appearance, as simple as a cloth hanger or something as iconic as a iPhone. So this is what design patent is. So ornamental jewelry, furniture, beverage container, or computer icons are some of the examples of objects that are covered under design patents. Now, what cannot be design patented? Mode or principles of construction cannot be design patented. Mere mechanical device cannot be design patented. Trademark within the meaning of the Trademarks Act cannot be design patented, and artistic work as per the Copyright Act cannot be design patented. So for a design patent to be patented, the following conditions must be met. Number one, it has to be new and original. Second, what is protected is the shape, the configuration, the pattern, and the ornament. And one should be able to solely judge it by the eye. So that is most important. And known designs or combination are the criteria for design patents. Next, before I move ahead, next slide, please. So in IP, as I said in the beginning, it has bundle of rights. So let me just give this classic example and tell you how it works. Now, when you see this iPhone, so all the aspects are covered. If you see the slide to unlock, that is patented. It is one of the patents among all the patents which they have filed. And the operating system, it's copyrighted. The design of the shape or the design or the shape of the phone is again design patented. And the name and the logo of this product is trademark. Okay, so this is one, it's just one single product, but it has bundle of rights in it. So I'll make it a little more interactive next session because we'll be talking about myths of trademark, right? So I'll just read out few questions. Just let me know yes or no. Just in your chat box, you can just answer yes or no. Like, I can trademark anything. All I need is money. Yes or no? Quick answers from people. Okay, if you have answered yes, if you have answered no. Okay, next slide, sir. Okay, I have money, I can trademark. No, you cannot. Now, this is one more classic example. Gmail was Gmail everywhere across the world except UK until recently. Why was it? Because Gmail, this trademark was taken by somebody else. Since this was already registered, Gmail could not enter and they had to enter it as googlemail.uk. That is how they entered actually, United Kingdom, right? So if I have money, I can, trademark anything or something like that. No, it doesn't happen, right? So next slide, please. Yeah. So if you see this, Infosys is a very well-known brand, right? So, but can you start a brand called Infosys Milk? Yes or no on the chat box, please. Yes, you cannot. Somebody has replied yes also, I believe. No, you cannot actually, trademark this name. Infosys has over the years gathered so much of popularity that people do know what Infosys does, right? And tomorrow, if you want to open a milk shop or start selling milk, I'm sorry, you cannot. The first day you will receive a very good notice from the team of Infosys. So don't try to use these type of well-known brands. Try to avoid these type of well-known brands because they have already gained so much of popularity and now you cannot create your own identity when it comes to this, right? Okay, so next slide, please, Deepakji. So the following things cannot be trademarked. One, if it is a very generic word, trademarks which are already registered, well-known trademarks, names that are offensive to the society, and anything that explains the nature of business. Please keep in mind these things when you decide on a brand name or logo, because you cannot trademark a brand name called Rajnikant or Narendra Modi. Okay, so just keep these things in mind and I'm sure the chances of getting a trademark would increase for you. So next move, before I go to the next option, again, we'll have some yes and no thing. So buy one, get one free is something which, most people get fascinated. So can logo trademark protect my name or vice versa? Is one trademark enough? Can someone answer in the chat box? If I apply for logo, name will be protected, or if I apply for name, logo will be protected automatically. Okay, if you have replied, thank you so much. So yes, it is a myth, as it is mentioned, myth number 2, it is a myth. Next slide, sir. So there are two kinds of trademarks, word mark and label mark. When I say word mark, it is the arrangement of alphabets which are protected, right? And when it comes to logo, it is the color combination, the look and feel, the design thing is what protected, like an image. It's like a JPEG image. So when you protect take a trademark under word mark, so nobody in India will use this name with any prefix or suffix in your category of business. And when it comes to logo, as I said, it's the elements which are protected as an image. So these two are two different applications, two different things, and each of them has their own importance. Now, if you look at this movie poster, which is there on the screen, so there are multiple trademarks which are protected. The story of snow, that is the name, is protected as word mark. The design of the bird is again protected as the label or logo trademark. Love song which is written again is protected as word mark, and the entire design, if I see it as an image, it is the label or the logo trademark. This is how it has been protected. And what we usually suggest entrepreneurs is always give priority to the word mark. Make sure your name is always protected first, because there is a tendency of changing your logos. So if you're really sure about the logo, go ahead with the logo registration. Of course, you need to protect that also, but name is something which you need to protect first, right? Next slide, sir. Again, please open your chat box. So I have registered my company name. My name is already protected. My brand name is already protected. Is it a myth or is it a reality? registration of company will protect the brand. Okay, couple of them have told myth, no, S also. So let me just explain you this. This is the most common myth which we also come across, where an entrepreneur or a business owner who comes for trademark, they say, you know, I have registered my company name. I don't need a trademark, separate trademark registration. Well, registering a company does not guarantee or protect a trademark. Even as the registrar of companies will only go through the database of companies. However, trademarks applied and owned by a sole proprietor or a partnership or a trust or any entity, they can also apply and own such trademarks. So for example, if Acme Technology is a registered company, then Acme Technologies LLP cannot be registered. However, that is under the company's registration. But however, the word Acme Technology can still be used or owned or trademarked as a brand by sole proprietors, firms, or proprietorship firms, or even partnership firm. Now, Companies Act actually mandates that a company name should not be similar to an existing registered trademark. So therefore, any entrepreneur having a unique business name idea can get the brand name registered to prevent the registration of a company or LLP with similar or identical name. So, the company name will not protect your trademark. You think that, okay, I have registered under whatever entity, my name is also protected. No, it is not. Because if you have registered your name as a private limited, and if I am a sole proprietor who has applied for a trademark registration for something very identical name, I am the owner of that brand. So always make sure that when you go for company registration, parallelly take a trademark search also, no matter whichever entity you belong to. Next slide, please. I'll also give you this is a very classic case which has come across where, only a trademark registration, how it helped a brand to win this case. Now, this was between Infosys and Jupiter Infosys, where both the companies are public limited companies. This matter went to the Supreme Court, and the Apex Court has actually given relief to Infosys Limited because they had applied for trademark of their brand much before, and they were the owner of that brand called Infosys, right? So trademarks do play a very important role when it comes to brand. Can we move to the next slide, please? This would be the last one which we would be discussing. One size does not fit all, correct? Do you agree with me? So is one trademark all that I need? Especially for e-commerce people, is one trademark is all that I need? Well, no. The Trademark Act has defined 45 different classes. Like each class represents various different categories actually. Now, if you're selling multiple products which come under all these different categories or class, then I would suggest you to protect in all those classes. Like, for example, if you're into ready-made garments and you're also selling textiles, now these two are two different categories and these are two different classes as per the Trademarks Act. So I would suggest you to protect in both the classes so that your brand is protected completely. And if you're also into e-commerce, then I would tell you to add one more class, which is class 35, where you're selling online. So this way you will be completely protected and your brand will be completely protected and nobody will infringe on it. Now take this example of Jaguar. Now Jaguar, we have multiple things when it comes to Jaguar. There is Jaguar automobiles, there is Jaguar fittings, there is bath fittings, or even there is Jayanagar Jaguars, a Bangalore running club. Now these brands may be same, but each of them have actually registered in their different classes. Ideally, one should register in all the classes their business will fall under. So they have individually or differently registered in their own categories of business. So this is what I wanted to talk about when it comes to trademark importance and myths. Why I chose myths? Because these are the common questions which usually come across when we talk about trademarks. So that is the reason I chose about the myth. Before I end, what is White Money? So how we started. So basically White Money Consultants was started in the year 2006. So from past 14 years, we are into this business. with the purpose of making legal works easy for business owner or any company. We are specialized in IPR registrations, and the three principles which we follow is we believe that brands, logos, the creative designs, and the inventions are your most valuable asset. As Mrs. Suma had told at the beginning itself, that IP is your asset. Yes, IP is your most valuable asset when it comes to business. We hand IP throughout the process of registration, right from search and filing to bringing the registration to the logical end. And we do understand how important clarity and transparency is for any organization. So we provide complete detail about the process, what we do. So a special giveaway, especially for the MSME people. Next slide, please. So what we can offer for all the MSME who are present here or other entrepreneurs, a free trademark search with an opinion, no obligations at all. Why we want to do is because, as I said, we don't want you to make a mistake where you register for a company and you forget that trademark is equally important. You apply or not, it is secondary, but make sure there is a clearance when you apply for a name. That is, when I talk about clearance, that is a trademark clearance. So just mail us your brand name with nature of business to vanitha@whitemoney.com, and we'll be able to do it for you without any obligations. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shrividya. Thank you, Mrs. Suma. I hope this session was useful. The details are on the screen. Please do note. And over to Deepak. So once Deepak finishes about the technical part, we will come back to our question answer. Okay, and no matter what people tell, words and ideas can change your life. Don't forget. Over to Deepak.
Thank you, Vanitha ji.
Shrividya, before that, would you like to add anything? See her on the screen.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think in the interest of time, we will have, because it's a continued session with Deepak. Yeah, please go ahead, Deepak. I think IPR session, you could actually go ahead. And thank you so much for that wonderful session. You really clearly pointed it out from an IP, perspectives, bringing in those IP perspectives and, demarcating each and every line item in terms of how people can actually, make best use of the IPR services as such. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Srividya. A very good afternoon, everyone. Special good afternoon to Shri Akadas ji, Mrs. Suman, Mrs. Srividya, to my other two speakers, Mrs. Ishreen and Ms. Vanitha. Now, I think Mr. Akkadas had rightly set the session forward, saying innovation is the key to future. And the other two co-speakers had already given the insights of what branding is. And Vanitha had given the insights about understanding what intellectual property is, and also understanding how crucial it is to create or adopt a good brand as from the trademarks perspective. What we will be looking into this session is to understand how important IP is for business, particularly for MSMEs, how important innovation is, and what are some of the important considerations that we as MSMEs or businesses should consider to make innovation as a process-driven approach within our business. So before we get into the technical session, I have this one slide before you. There's no hard and fast rule. We already know who this character on screen is, Spider-Man. Now the question I'm going to ask is, what is so special about this particular character? If you can just put it in the chat box quickly. What, according to you, you think is so very special about this character? Maybe if I can have one or two comments. Sinthuja says that it's Spider-Man, Vijay. So we are talking about Spider-Man as a character. So kids lover, okay. No, Spider-Man has speciality. So Deepak D says there is an inner strength. So we know the inner strength of Spider-Man, that he can, swing across high-rise towers, jump from one tower to the other tower. So that is something which makes it special. Now there's one word which I in fact, the paucity of time, so I would want to move forward. He is unique. Spider-Man is unique vis-a-vis other individuals. So that is what makes him very special. Now here, when I talk about uniqueness, there's one thing which I want you all to introspect within yourself, to check what is unique in your business. What is something which is so unique in your business which makes you stand out in crowd, or which makes you stand out totally away from what the competition offers? So that is an introspection that you need to do, and that uniqueness is something which you will have to leverage as an intellectual property to bring out the best in you, and to leverage that uniqueness to ensure that you are away and you are far apart from the competition. Now, when we talk of uniqueness, the first word that comes is innovation. Now, again in quick sense, I want you all to quickly tell me what, according to you, is innovation. When you hear the word innovation, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? Maybe if I can have few words in the chat box as to what you feel innovation is. Shubha Kammu says new. Radhika says introducing something new by adding value to the existing. That's absolutely correct, Radhika. New which is not there before. Yes, innovation is bringing in something new. Unique identity. Correct. Now, all of you are dot to the answer. Innovation is bringing in something new. A lot of people have a notion that innovation is rocket science. In fact, it is no rocket science. Innovation refers to, changing processes or creating more effective processes, products, or ideas. And it could be as simple as introducing a new business model within your business, creating certain user-friendly approaches which nobody else has offered. So innovation is nothing rocket science. It could be a simple process as well. So for business, innovation means implementing new ideas, creating dynamic products, or improving services. Now, I've just given you a few illustrations of innovations that big business models have brought in. So there's no rocket science. Dell brought in a very innovative feature of direct bill to supply model, where you could choose the kind of computer you want, and Dell would directly supply that particular product to your doorstep. Now, this entire process of customizing and direct door delivery of a particular customized computer as a patented business method model of Dell. Now, this is obviously, business methods are not patentable in India. So this business method was patented in the US. Facebook brought in an innovative, feature, or I would say innovative business thought when they acquired Facebook. So nobody would have thought that Facebook would actually be interested in getting WhatsApp as a business acquisition process, but they paid a whopping amount in acquiring WhatsApp. And now the future that they're planning for WhatsApp is to make WhatsApp as a business payment process. So they're going to use WhatsApp for payment methodologies. So instead of Paytm, future you may use WhatsApp to transact businesses. Apple brought in the fashion designer of Burberry. Burberry is a fashion brand. So they brought in a business designer from Burberry to design their fashionable electronic products. So this also is an innovative thought which Apple brought. Nobody would actually, get a person from a different industry to come into our business and think from a different perspective. So that is also an innovation. So innovation, with these illustrations, I'm trying to mean that it's no rocket science. You can think of small ideas or techniques which will make your business boost and which will make your business unique from what your competition offers. Innovation starts with an idea. Now here again, I would like to ask you all very simple questions. Who do you think is the ideator, or who you think had the idea of creating the Facebook? Whose idea was Facebook? Quickly, can I have the name on the chat box? Yeah, Sai Padma is on dot. Mark Zuckerberg is the person who is acknowledged to be the idea or the brain box behind Facebook. Now, what if I say that it was not Mark Zuckerberg's, not Mark Zuckerberg's idea to bring in a social platform, a social networking platform? He had stolen the idea from Ensconce brothers. Ensconce brothers had in fact engaged Mark Zuckerberg to create coding for a social networking platform. Rather, what he did was he took that idea and he created a concept on his own. A similar example, who do you think, or who is acknowledged to be the creator of iPad, or in the other sense, I would say tablet computers? Who, according to you, is the ideator behind tablet computers? He is also the owner of iPhone, or I would say Apple Incorporation. Can I have a name in the chat box? Sintuja is correct. It is Steve Jobs. But now again, I would say, what if I tell you the actual idea of tablet computers was not Steve Jobs? It was from a person called Roger Fidler, who had ideated the idea, who had created the idea of tablet computers about 10 years before Steve Jobs had launched the first tablet computer. And the funny part, I would say the irony is, both Roger Fidler and Steve Jobs share the same office in a building in Colorado. So the notion is somebody would have shared the thought of Roger Fidler to Steve Jobs, and that's how Steve Jobs got the idea of tablet computers. Now here, I had emphasized these two ideas to tell you that both Facebook and iPad, the ideas were not originated from the creators, they were stolen. Now, the reason I gave you these two examples is precisely what Vanita also had said during her presentation, that not to disclose your ideas or concepts to anyone before before you are very sure that they are patentable subject matters. Because the moment you disclose it to anyone, be it your close office mates, be it your colleagues, friends, what happens is the idea gets out of your hand. And the moment the idea is out of your hand, you never know how it spreads across to other people as well. So it no more is with you confidentially. So do not disclose in any manner the idea in any public forum, even by way of emails or internet posts. Record the idea or confidential information in writing, and before you share it with any party, make sure you explore and ensure that the idea can be conceptualized and protected as an IP. And even if you wish to explore it with a third party to see if they can be commercialized, always sign a confidentiality or an NDA in place before you share such information with a third party. Intellectual property has the shelf life of a banana. Now, we were speaking of innovation and how innovation could be protected in the previous slides. And we saw as to how information once leaked from us can spread across to other people. Intellectual property has a very short life. So if you are not protecting your innovation within that particular time frame, you are bound to lose your right over that particular innovation, and somebody is also bound to copy and make money out of it than you making money in it. So make sure whatever innovation you created, you immediately check whether you have viability to protect it as an intellectual property. Speak to a consultant, check if those can be patented, design patented, copyrighted, or if you created some designs, those can be trademarked or copyrighted before you disclose it with a third party. So intellectual property has a very short life. Make sure you protect it within a particular timeline.
Deepak, in the interest of one of the participants, to what you had referred initially, Shilpa was asking, these days so many donors and donor supporting organizations are asking for ideas, how to protect the idea.
One, you don't have protection in the idea. You always have protection in the concept created from the idea. So if there are donors who is asking for ideas, you will have to check for the rules. See, there are many, there are also MNCs or even nowadays the Indian multinationals have also started having some quiz competitions or some kind of competition amongst the general public to give up ideas, and there are prize money is given. If you feel your ideas are not to be shared and you feel that they are actually of value, do not share it with such donors before you protect it. So first seek a basic protection, speak to your consultant how you can make a basic protection to yourself, and then share the ideas with others. See, even in patents, there is a provision called as filing a provisional patent application. So file a very basic provisional patent application disclosing what your concept or what your idea is. File it with the patent office and then share it with the donor. So that way is how you are protected with the patent office, that the donor will not file a similar patent without even giving or without even informing you. So that way your concept is protected with the patent office. So there are ways and means of protecting your concept before sharing with donors. You will have to just seek professional guidance in there. I hope I've answered the question. So can we move forward?
Yes, Deepak. We will, participants, I just want to convey that I think the meeting is little getting stretched out. If it is all okay, if everyone is fine, we will have this meeting a little further for about 15-20 minutes. I think till 1:15, 1:30. If you're all fine to stay back, please mention yes in the chat group so that we can answer your questions toward the end of the session. Thank you, Deepak. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Okay, so here now we would discuss as to how innovation can make a leap forward for your business. So while you can, without innovation, you can be one of the herds within the traditional business community doing your regular business. Organic growth will depend on sustaining competition, retaining customers, maintaining shareholder value. That's a traditional way of doing business. However, for exponential growth, depends on how well businesses foster an innovation culture to drive away ahead of competition, create new customer base, invite investments, thereby significantly increasing the shareholder value. Hence, it is important that businesses adopt innovation strategies which can devise traditional ways of doing business. So here I am going to share a few important considerations that we as businesses, entrepreneurs or MSMEs should take in order to adopt an innovation culture within our organization and see how we can create innovative products or processes which will drive us ahead of the competition. Now, the first important consideration is these 4 phases. Can someone tell me who these 4 famous personalities are? And it's pretty easy to guess them who they are. The first one is Ratan Tata. Any guesses for the second one? He is the founder of Starbucks. He is Howard Schultz. He is the founder of Starbucks. The third is Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon. And fourth is Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple Computers. So, what is common between these 4? They have built an empire. They are from different businesses. They have a totally divergent business model. What is common between these 4? And they are all entrepreneurs or business tycoons of our generation, for sure. The founder carries a brand value of trust and more. Yes, but it goes much bigger than that. Now, paucity of time, I will move forward. Now, all these four focused on innovation as a driving force for their businesses. They were not bothered about any other aspect in their business. What they wanted was innovation. And the innovation drive came from the top. And that is the first important aspect in a business, that the innovation culture should start from the top. You as the owner of business should lead the way in driving the innovation culture within the organization. You should let your employees, give a little bit of risk-taking appetite in giving them the freedom to think freely in creating innovative thoughts and processes within your organization. Give the top management should be dedicated uh, to transpiring dynamics of a company from becoming a revenue generating model to an IP asset driven company. And unless and until the top management makes innovation as a priority, it won't happen. Therefore, an innovation drive should come from the top. It is the top leader who has to make sure that they focus on innovation, and rest will follow as such. So create an innovation culture within an organization. Just giving you an example of two multinationals and one Indian corporation as to how they are driving innovation culture within their organization. Mr. Akadas had touched upon as to how government is also encouraging incubation centers, in encouraging startups, in nurturing them in the innovation process and helping them grow their business by way of bringing in VCs, bringing in funding, helping them get the proper guidance from multinationals. Likewise, there are multinationals which has this particular culture which is developed in-house for years to come. Google has a very unique innovation culture where they give one day in a week to their employees to come up with certain innovative thoughts or processes which are totally divergent from whatever they are doing in their regular day-to-day work. PayPal has an innovation culture drive called Ignite, where they have a central database system where people can, or employees can, feed in new ideas, and any new idea which is liked by the top management, those employees are incentivized by way of giving them some revenue perks, giving some employee of the innovative employee of the week or the month award or whatever. So they are incentivized in that manner. Similar way, Tata Innovista is also a concept where Tata incentivizes people who are coming up with new ideas. So innovation culture is the lifeline for making new products as well as boosting employee morale. Interaction between different teams resulting in sharing of knowledge and ideas. It brings people closer because different teams are interacting between themselves. It brings people closer. It brings an environment giving them the freedom to promote ideas, brings in new thinking and new concepts, and to cult the cult and see what the future will want. If you see Google, so Google example, I'll share it a little later. Google once started as a search engine model. Now, if you see the business model of Google, they are into various segments. They have mobile apps. They are getting into different e-commerce, e-payment segments. They ventured into different business models just because they have an innovation culture, and they ask their employees to think differently as to how future is going to be and how they can drive the future by thinking today itself. Now, there are companies who think 5-10 years ahead of what the current market is all about. Now, when I talk of future, you should see how Apple computers or Samsung has evolved as a business model. Apple had started as a computer business company, but now you look at Apple computers or Apple Incorporation, they are into various businesses, and computer business is just 5% of what they're doing. in their innovation cycle or in their product cycle, they actually know where to bring in innovation at which point of time, because they are very clear in understanding that no product is going to be permanent forever. Every product has a life cycle, and they are very clear when the life of a particular product would die and when the life of a particular product would start, considering what the future trend is all about. Now we've seen in our times how Nokia and Kodak have fallen because they were not able to see what the future is all about, or they were not able to see how the future would evolve from what they were actually selling. Nokia was once a market leader in mobile communications, but looking at, and they thought, they're at a comfort zone where consumers would be comfortable buying their phones to whatever they were selling. But the trends changed so quickly that the phones that Nokia was offering was dead in technology, and Apple and Samsung were far ahead in offering new technology and user-friendly phones, which Nokia was not offering. And similar was the case with Kodak. So innovation drive, again, you create an innovation culture, and you also know 5 to 10 years down the line how the future is going to be, and you prepare yourself to ensure that you're going to survive that future market, and you create products to ensure that you are leading the market in the future as well. We cannot solve problems with the same thinking used when we created them.
Yeah. So Deepak, I would like to interrupt here. Just a quick thing. I wanted to, I know, I mean, you are in the IP segment, and from a legal standpoint, I just wanted to quickly, if you can actually also bring in, while the MSMEs are also embarking on their, innovation and innovation practices, and how they can actually bring in the innovation and safeguard themselves on the longer run. Would you also be able to throw some light on how they should be safeguarding themselves in terms of those nitty-gritty or the pointers which they should be very clear on when it comes to safeguarding their innovations?
Okay, see, any business, when it comes to safeguarding their innovations, the most important aspect is the first 2 points that I shared, that you do not share the information anywhere, you keep it confidential, do not share it with third party, and ensure that you consult a professional and ensure that they are protected well before you disclose it to others. That is one way of generating intellectual property and also ensuring that the intellectual property is properly protected. Another important aspect which an MSME should consider is, yes, so by my the process of my presentation was itself to ensure that what are the important factors that as an MSME we should consider when we are considering innovation as a process-driven approach within an organization. And I would also be discussing a little later as to how they can leverage those intellectual properties to commercialize them. Will that be okay?
Sure, Deepak, that will be wonderful. In fact, also, I mean, when it comes to trademark or IP activities, I mean, there is definitely perception that, IPR or the IPR is kind of, expensive for the MSMEs to take on. So maybe you could also throw light on what are those simple elements or simple things which they can do at that, minimal expense, yet safeguarding their IP and certain things. Yeah.
Okay, so I will take that at the last segment of our presentation. So I'll just quickly finish this. I'll not go in details. So now the whole point I was driving here is if you are into manufacturing of textiles, it is not that you should stick around to ideas as to how you can bring in innovation only to develop innovative ideas for your textiles alone. Innovation can come from anywhere and from all points. Protect it, and you can see how you can leverage it. So we see the example of Google, we see as to how Apple has evolved. So think of protecting them and leveraging them by way of licensing it or selling it to any third party. I'm just giving you an example as to how educational institutes have leveraged intellectual properties and patents by creating incubation centers and leveraging on the patents that are developed in-house by the students and the faculty of the educational institutions. So we see the trend is growing for each of the IITs from 2015-16 to 17-18. I mean, those are the statistics available in the public domain, how they are gradually increasing to leverage their IP assets. So they're slowly developing an IP portfolio and ensuring that they're selling those IP portfolios or patents to third parties and to companies and leveraging by way of making money out of it. Just giving you an example of one of the MSMEs or startups which was based from the students of IIT Delhi, who had developed a patent for a retrofit emission control device for diesel generators. They had patented this technology, and there was no one close to their technology in bringing up a similar product. So they patented this in 2016, and they got a funding of close to 19 crores in the last year, and they are still growing nationally and internationally by virtue of their intellectual property developed in-house. So the point I'm driving here is, even for a startup or an MSME, if you are focusing on innovation and an innovation culture, properly protecting it, you can short leverage it. You will have investors and VCs who will be ready to fund in such innovations, and you can move it on a larger scope of business. Just concluding with one of the other startups who made it big in the world, which is Regify SA. They are into technology-based solutions, offering mobile applications and mobile-based software applications. The owner of Regify says that our investors would not have committed the required resources for international rollout if Regify did not have patents in place. Therefore, it is imperative in the technology sector to acquire intellectual property rights and to leverage on such IP rights. Now, I would take the questions which Ms. Srividya had said. The first thing is, what are the basic bare minimum intellectual properties which MSME should protect? So I would start with the basis from protecting your brands as trademarks, and they are very economical in protection. They would hardly cost you about thousands of rupees, and if you are MSME or a startup, there are very much concessions given by the intellectual property office. I'm sure, as Ms. Suman had briefed, that there are certain other benefits which the MSME department gives by way of incentivizing MSMEs to protect such intellectual properties, including trademarks. So the bare minimum protection that any MSME should have is that you protect your trademarks and company names. I mean, these are, in terms of violations or infringements, these are the most rampant violations that come in, where companies usually, or violators usually copy your logos, your brand names, your company names, and you would actually not know what you have to do once they are copied. So the bare minimum protection is is trademark protection. And yes, as you protect your business names and trademarks, you also ensure that you see how you can develop certain innovative products or processes, be it unique designs of products which can be protected as design patents, or innovation in the manufacturing process, or innovation in a product which is different from what your competitors or what the market is offering, and protect it as patents. And the notion is that patents are very costly. They are not very costly. To our knowledge, the entire process does not cost you more than ₹1 lakh. I would say on the top end. So it would be anywhere between 30,000 to about ₹1 lakh, depending on the kind of innovation that you are making. So patents are not costly. Design patents are also very cheap in protection. Again, they cost you thousands of rupees in protection. So these are the few fundamentals that you need to ensure or you need to have in mind while you are thinking of protecting intellectual properties. Now I'm free to take on any questions that you have, Srividya.
So, so how long it will take for this design patent, sir?
Design patent is about 6 to 9 months for the entire registration process.
For entire registration of designing. So what are the process? Means for design, you require the AutoCAD drawing or how, sir, design process?
It could be AutoCAD drawings or it could be photographic representations of the product. So you will have to disclose the photographic representation of the products taken from different views, and then disclose it to the designs office. There are formal applications to be filed, and there is a certain process which has to be followed. So once you file any application, be it design or design patent or trademark, the IP office examines that particular application. So there are preset criteria that the IP office has. So they will examine your application and then they decide whether to grant registration to you or not.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So, thank you so much, Mr. Deepak. I would like to quickly mention that, Deepak also is a very good, like he has done PBA and PGD in International Business and LLP, and he comes with 15 years only when handling the continuous and non-contentious IP issues, actually. So, and, with that kind of a tremendous experience, the kind of innovation and culture, the practices, what you have indicated, sir, it is definitely valuable for each one of us, in fact for me too. And Mrs. Vanitha, I would like to quickly mention that the IP related requirements, whatever you have mentioned, the kind of detailing which you have done, it is fantastic, ma'am. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming and addressing the audience, helping us with understanding of the IP and trademark factors. I would quickly touch upon now, on the questions which we were not able to answer during the meetings. On the IPR front, there was a question from Girish Gupta who asked how to implement these laws in the rural areas.
See, IP laws across India are the same. So implementation of IP laws is one aspect. One, you will have to ensure proper protection. And once you are properly protected, depending on what kind of an IP it is. So if trademark is what you are looking at, the Trademark Act clearly defines as to how you can enforce your right. So there are action which you can take even before a police station, before the sub-inspector of police. You can just file a simple complaint before the sub-inspector, and he will be able to take appropriate action by seizing the infringing goods or the counterfeit goods from the violators' premises. So those processes are clearly defined under the intellectual property laws, and they are across. So be it rural, urban, that doesn't matter. You can actually take appropriate action if you are duly protected.
Sure. I hope that answers your question, Girish. We will move to the next question, which was asked by Janardhanani. He asked how to get global IPR for Indian brands and consumer products.
Okay. All IP laws across the world are territorial in nature. There is nothing called we can get a global brand protection or a global patent protection. However, India is part of the World Intellectual Property Organization, which is part of WTO. World Intellectual Property Organization offers a single window system to protect and manage your intellectual properties, including trademarks. So for trademarks, World Intellectual Property Organization has a system called as a Madrid Protocol, by which you will be able to protect and manage the registration of your brand globally. Sitting here in India, we can register your brands across the world in about 148 countries. and manage their registration processes, renewal and everything through a single window system. So just to again conclude, no IP law is global. All IP laws are territorial in nature. However, WIPO gives us a single window system to manage these intellectual properties.
Okay. Sure, sir. Deepak, there is one more question who's asked. Birendra Kishore Roy has asked, it is what are the possible challenges I may face with IPR and what will be the solutions for the same?
Okay, see, challenges in IPR is, I would say, if you are into manufacturing or into the consumer space, the challenges counterfeits. So in order to overcome counterfeits, you will have to ensure that your brand and your packages are duly protected under the Trademark and Copyright Act. For FMCGs, whenever there is a counterfeit action, we immediately approach the court and take an injunction, which we call it a stay order, against the violator to not to copy our design and put a similar design in the market. So that is one way. If you're in the e-commerce space, you will have to approach. So if your website has been spotted, or if there are duplicate products which are available in some e-commerce website, each of these e-commerce companies have a particular way of reporting intellectual property violation, including say Amazon, Flipkart. All these have set processes defined within their system that you can report an intellectual property infringement and they will take appropriate action by way of removing those infringing goods from their website. So that is also something which we are doing very frequently for our clients.
Very nice, Deepak. Thank you so much. There is a question from Mamta Jain from Samposhan. She is requesting to throw some lights on IP utility patents in India and IP functional patents arising out of design registrations in textile domain.
Okay, see, India does not have, China has the concept of filing for utility patents, which are for five years. But India has a system of protecting innovations as utility patents or functional patents, which are valid for 10 years, 20 years. So anything functional in nature or anything which is having technological improvement over a particular product or a process can be a subject matter of patents, and anything which has aesthetic appeal, which is judged solely by the eyes, can be protected as design patents. And with respect to very specifics to textiles, the textile design can be protected as a design patent. So the 2D representation of your textile design can very well be protected as a design patent.
Nice. So the next question we have, what are the fees for typical fees for a patent? This is
Okay, see, the government fees for a patent for MSME, it is 8,000. And then you also have various schemes, as you know, earlier Mr. Akaddas and Ms. Suman had explained that there are various incentives which are given by the MSME department and by the government that you can get even these fees reimbursed by them by way of filing the requisite forms and processes that they had defined. So for patents, it is 8,000 rupees. For trademarks, it is 4,500 is the government fee for registration. And similarly, for designs, it is 2,000 rupees.
right. And like Deepak was saying, you need, Deepak and Mrs. Suman was also emphasizing that you need to be MSME registered entity to avail these, benefits actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these things are very particularly defined for MSMEs and startups.
Sure, sir. So there's one more question which I would like to quickly touch upon on the IPR side. After patent grant, how to go on with manufacturing and marketing things and legal procedures? How to do branding, marketing, and legal procedures of the same? This is come from Vaishali Krishnanath.
Okay, see, once you have a patent granted, you have a process of filing your patent renewals every year. So that is with the patent office. Patent office, just to keep your patent alive for those 20 years, every year there is a patent renewal fee that has to be filed. Now, for you to commercialize it, I mean, that is an angle which you will have to see as to how good your innovation is, how good the market for that innovation is, and what is the capacity of you in making that product be leveraged in the market. So, do you have the manufacturing capacity to manufacture and put the product in the market directly, or do you want third-party partners to do it? So these are commercial decisions which you will have to take. And as far as branding or copywriting a patented product is concerned, yes. So those, as Vanita had mentioned, any product, there are bundle of rights that are available for a product. So you can also look at avenues to see how you can have a brand protection for such patented product, how you can make a beautiful design of that product so that you can additionally protect it as a design, or a packaging can be created to make it registered under the Copyright and Trademarks Act. So they are bundle of rights. You can very well, considering what the product that you are manufacturing, you can very well protect it from different angles. And leveraging is again considering how good your strengths, how good the market is. You can look for third-party investors who can come and pitch in for your product and have third-party rights given to them to sell it in the market.
Yeah, there is one now. I just want to quickly take questions from the chat window. There is a question from Krishna Balaya. He said, please shed whether any IPR or patents which can be done in food processing, the recipe preparation process.
Yes, even in food processes, if there is uniqueness in the entire food making or food manufacturing process, you can very well patent it.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I think there is one more question which, yeah, I think that is answered. I'm sorry. Yeah, the last question from Mansi Tiwari is the 4,000 fee for trademark is after the MSME discount, or it is the flat fee for any organization?
And 4,500 is a 50% discount fee. The actual fee for trademark registration is 9,000. After discount for MSMEs and for individuals, it is 4,500.
Yeah. For a question from Sai Padma, will I have a robust IP protection will help the products reach export market also? What would be the perspectives of overseas customers as regards to Indian patented products?
Sai Padma, as I just explained, that all IP laws are territorial in nature. So whatever IP protection you have, it will be for the Indian territory. However, if you are wanting to extend your protection to other countries, there are timelines and there are processes which are defined. You can very well extend the protection to other countries as well within a particular timeline. So for patents, if you are filing the PCT route via the World Intellectual Property Organization, you can file a patent, or you can extend the patent protection of your Indian patent to any other country within 30 months. And for trademarks, it is usually 6 months.
Okay. Thank you, Deepak. Should I go to Ishwin, or are you comfortable taking 2 more questions, sir?
I'm okay. I'm absolutely okay.
Thank you so much, Deepak. There is one more question from Shiva Shankar I Holy. He says, if there is no single global patent system in place and it's just territorial in nature, if someone copies from other country and manufactured here, if that copied product isn't patented in India, in which scenario it's okay? Is it okay for such local manufacturers?
Okay, so anything which is happening within our territory, you can very well block it. So if I have a patented product in India, and though there is somebody else who is manufacturing in India and is selling it in the export market, I can very well seek an injunction against him that he should not manufacture that product itself because I have a patent for it. I can very well seek an injunction that that person, even if he is selling it in the export market, he cannot manufacture it because I have that patent technology for the Indian market.
Okay. Nice, Deepak. This question is asked by Shilpa Narayanan. She says, prior to company formation or MSME registration, can the idea be patented?
Idea cannot be patented as such. The concept deriving, just to give you a very raw example, the idea is a very raw concept. Now I have an idea of making the room cooler. I can make the room cooler by way of having an air conditioner installed in the room, or having a table fan or a ceiling fan. So the idea is to make the room cooler. I cannot have a protection for a very raw idea as such. However, the process in me making the room cooler by way of installing an air conditioner is a concept which can be patented. Just to give you a very rough idea or a rough concept of how you will have to view patenting as a process. So idea cannot be patented. A concept derived from that idea can very well be patented even before you incorporated a company or you register it as an MSME. However, you will not be able to take those privileges which are given by the government if you are not an MSME registered company. You can register it in your individual name, that is well a possibility, but the privileges that are given by MSME is only to an MSME registered company. So only after your MSME registered company and you file a patent under that company, you will be able to take those privileges which are given by the MSME department.
Sure. One last question, sir, from Shiva Shankar. What's the turnaround time schedule to get patent from the day one filing applications?
Nowadays, it is a little quicker. It's around 2 to 3 years for the entire patenting process. And if the patent is very good, that during examination itself it gets accepted, that time can also be shortened to about 18 to 20 months.
Okay, sure. And can an individual make a fresh application to the concerned authority for granting GI? I think this would be...
GI cannot be filed by an individual. GI is always given to a group of people. So it has to be a community or a group of people who will have to file for a GI together. It is not given to an individual.
Sure. One question from Anand Vijapur. He says, my design is patent under examination. How can I stop others manufacturing my product?
You can issue a notice to the third party saying that your patent, your design is already under the process. However, you cannot take a legal action until it is granted. So you can issue a notice notifying them you already have a patent which is under process. Even after issuance of notice, if that other entity is not stopping or not adhering to your requisitions which are there in the notice, after the design patent is granted, you can approach the court and seek damages from the day you issued the notice. So action can be taken only after the patent is granted. However, damages can be claimed on a retrospective timeline from the day you issued the notice.
Sure. I think that would be my last question for the IPR point of view. Participants, I'm actually sharing Mrs. Vanita's number. Deepak's number is also already shared on the screen, and Ishwin's number also I will be sharing again. We will, in the interest of time, I'll just quickly move on to questions which were asked from a branding point of view. So we are looking at, I think there were two typical questions which I wanted to quickly put here, that what important steps can be taken in brand development area in this pandemic scenario? Ishwin, you're on mute. Yeah. While Ishwin unmutes herself, I just want to quickly thank Mrs. Vanita and Deepak. for their presence here all along. So patiently they have been listening to our questions. They both specialize in intellectual property laws and contracts, and they both come with more than 15 years of experience handling the IP registrations, prosecution and litigation matters, drafting the contract and negotiations part. So if you have any queries, you can directly reach out to them. You have the numbers of Deepak and Vanita. So please feel free to connect with them and then, have your queries answered. Thank you so much, Mrs. Vanita and Mr. Deepak, for that wonderful presentation. And I know it's been a long journey for almost 1.5 hours, 2.5 hours now. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. So the question which I had for Mrs. Ishween was, what important steps can be taken in brand development area in this pandemic scenario? This was from Akanksha Raj.
Okay, so I will answer it in two ways. So if you're already an established brand, I think because of the situation we all find ourselves in, the brand need and the products and services that it holds within itself need to examine themselves to see how they are accessible given the restrictions and the risks, etc., that we are all grappling with right now. So for an established brand, it's a point in time to move more towards the new normal, which is more adaptability. Whereas for a fledgling brand, somebody who's trying to establish themselves in the market, it is both a challenge and an opportunity, I would say. You have to start with something that is relevant in these times. So establish a product, service, or brand which is relevant in these times, but also try and imagine a scenario when this is not the normal, when we are back to, I won't say we'll ever be back to the old normal, but if it's a new normal, how is it that your brand, your fledgling brand, which started within these times, can then adapt to scenarios which are post-COVID scenarios? So that is how I would say the brand needs to examine itself. So it has to be a journey that you need to look at this point in time, and adaptability, I think, is the key word here.
Yeah. So there is a question from Mohd Nasir Alam, and he asks how any small scale industry can turn to become a known branded in the industry, and how do we really look at from a business growth and business strategy point of view from a branding perspective?
Yes. So here is what I would say. I think a lot of MSMEs would have this reservation about saying branding is a very, very expensive exercise. Do we even need to do it? I think their priorities would be very different. It would be production and markets and things like that. But I would say that the returns will come because of investing in branding at this point in time. And it need not start with something very cumbersome. Like I said, the whole purpose of my presentation was to demystify the whole branding exercise. You could be a bunch of people who are, let's say, the founders of a unit, and you could sit together and actually identify what your core brand values are, how you stand out apart from the competition within your industry, and that itself is a branding exercise. It is not an expensive or cumbersome thing, but at least to identify what your essence is, what the value is, what does your brand stand for, what it will or will not represent. I think if we can answer these questions, you are already branding yourself, and it is a very useful thing because it will lead to trust, reputation, recognizability within the market, within your target audiences, and it will get you the higher returns, and you will be competing with the bigger brands. That is the biggest thing.
Thank you, Ishween. Yeah, it definitely makes sense for us to really, take branding to the next level and, take branding to the next level, right? Yeah. We have another question on the branding, which how to brand a new product in the market, how to make customer-related schemes when I have just some liquid capital. This is a question from Hirshikesh Ray.
Yeah, hi. Could I know which segment are you in?
That is, I think we do not have this information. Yeah, here. Yeah.
So for a new product, I think I'm assuming this is a consumer product. So I would say that as I was telling Sai, even if you cannot conduct a proper market research within your target audience, it is a very useful first step to even informally talk to a group of people who are your potential customers, especially if it's a fast-moving consumer good category, to find out how your product or service, let's say, is standing apart, if at all, from others within that segment. And that is actually going to help you define what the core value, not just as per your own thinking or as per even a consultant's thinking, but actually as per your potential consumer's thinking, what is that core brand value? And that is a good start point to start defining. And again, I'm surprised that people are thinking about branding as something which requires a lot of investment. It isn't. I think that base level of thinking can be done within the organization. Even if you're a team of 2 people, you could brainstorm and come up with what your brand values are. And yes, the implementation part of it, where you're trying to get a brand guideline going or a logo or a kit, and the kind of work that Deepak was talking about, the actual patenting, etc. That, of course, there are processes and those have costs. But yes, you could get to a stage where a consultant would be required, and for the larger ones, I think that's a valuable exercise to invest in. But if your funds are limited, you could still start by doing a basic branding exercise within yourself. I hope Srividya will be sharing some of.
Yeah, so I would quickly like to emphasize when you have to start with branding, I think as simple as you can actually do basic ads about your products and services. You can leverage the social media. WhatsApp marketing is a big tool which recently people have been bombarding on the WhatsApp through their product pictures, services pictures, and all that. That's the simplest way to start the branding exercise. Next, if you have good budget in terms of how you can actually look at generating leads, then you can actually see how you can campaign yourself. Google businesses also have immensely help many companies. You should look at Google ads and Google presence in the market. Every company, any business, they should have their Google presence. I would like to quickly emphasize that it is very, very important for any company to have their Google presence. Build on it, grow Google ads, as simple as posts in terms of your products or services can actually bring visibility to your service and product factors. The second, the next step would be where you can actually look at the search engine optimization on the Google aspect or from the website point of view. I think these are the simpler ways where you can say that yes, you can brand yourself in the market and start looking at building your presence. Then you have many other ways where you can look at influencer marketing and other ways where you can actually bring in more rigor into your brand development and bring in more visibility to your products and services. Ashwin, I hope, was that
yes,
right?
I would just like to add that as Brandwagon, and I haven't spoken about my company, but as Brandwagon, we are literally your storytellers in the online medium. So yes, thank you, Srividya, for pointing out that all of this digital marketing is the new space, social media marketing, and all the things that you're talking about. And it doesn't require some humongous budgets. So
Yes.
anybody is welcome to reach out and see if we can work something out for you, or even try it out yourself. See, as Srividya pointed out, Google ads, etc., all of these are supposedly for lay people to access, and with a small budget start branding themselves. Instagram, Facebook, these are the buzzwords today. But for us as Brandwagon, we actually first try and figure out what your brand stands for, then build your story, and then create the content which which tells your story in the online space. So thank you for that, Srividya.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. Definitely, your insights were great. I'm sure people will take some steps towards branding themselves. I think those were the typical questions. I think other questions were answered by your presentation. I would like to quickly move on to Mrs. Suman for some of these schemes. Some of the questions were relevant to schemes and all. So when you Mrs. Suman, are you able to hear us? Yeah, Suman ma'am, you're on mute.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So there are questions from an MSME schemes perspective. Let us give it 5 more minutes, participants, and then we will close this session. Where do we check for regular updates on any schemes and procedures to avail them? This is from Nilesh Jain.
Okay. For the regular updates on any scheme, since it is a Government of India or it will be generally Government of Karnataka scheme, the scheme will be put up in the local newspapers, okay, and in our websites also, in the ministry website also it will be put up. And to know more about the scheme and the procedure to avail them, you have to definitely contact the ministry personnel only. In our MSME schemes, if you want to know more and how every SME, that is a small and medium enterprise, can take benefit out of it, you have to contact us.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you. And is it possible to make MSME spread its service more in the middle class areas? This is a question.
We are already doing more and more work in the rural areas, sir. I mean, we are already working in the village level. So middle class area, definitely we have our presence there through different industrial associations and people working with us, associated with us. But we are definitely working when we are working in the village level, we are obviously working in the middle class areas also. In every state, if you observe closely, we are all MSMEs, thrust to MSMEs are given in the middle class area itself, because the urban class, most of the MSMEs are mostly, they are already settled and they want to go in for exports. And in the village level, people want to start new. So it is the middle class area which is, trying to grow. So that is where more concentration from the ministry is given to.
Sure. So there's next question which says, need to know support on IPR and branding by government to MSMEs. Basic requirements to avail facilities if there are any. This is from Senthil Mahesh.
Yeah, the basic requirements, as I earlier told, you need to have the Udyam registration. So to have a Udyam registration, you need the KYC documents. So apart from that, we don't require much actually. So these are the most basic documents. The others, yeah, are preferable, like the PAN number and the GST, but if at the moment you are wanting to start, they are only preferable and not mandatory. But these, the KYC document and the Udyam registration is mandatory.
And there's a question for entrepreneurial schemes for sports persons and psychologists. This is a question from Shumkara Nagendra Kishore.
Yeah, entrepreneurial schemes, in the sense, see, the schemes which we have, which I earlier spoke about, caters to manufacturers as well as to service providers. So when you are asking specifically for sports persons and psychologists, it is you who has to tell me whether you want to go in for the manufacturing sector, under the sports sector, or the service. Now, there are chances that they want to go open a coaching academy, or it may be also sports medicine, or it may be devices related to the sports, like, for making the making the kneecap, or heating of muscles, or something like that. So these kind of MSMEs in the sports sector will be coming under the schemes which are meant for manufacturing or for services. There's no specific scheme for the sector.
Sure. So okay, there is a question in the chat window. I'd like to take that. Can undergrad and postgrad institutes get associated with you for rural immersion programs? If yes, how? This question is asked by Indrani Bhattacharji.
It is nowhere mentioned that the qualification is required to get associated with MSME. for rural immersion program. There is no qualification for that. Of course, definitely undergraduation and post-graduation institute can get associated. In fact, when we work with non-government bodies only, we don't look at it with the perspective of graduate or undergraduate. But the main basic criteria lies that when you look at a specific institution which wants to work, we look at it that they should concentrate more on the entrepreneurial aspect and not only on the basic. Like for example, when you go to the rural area, we find people asking us for only one sector kind of courses. So we want more and more educated institutes to associate with us to upgrade them. We don't want people to forever be working in the hosiery sector or in the food processing sector. We want people to come out in different sector, say the aerospace, you can say the electronics, you can say the electronic waste sector. So we are trying to see that more and more educated institutes associate with us.
Sure, ma'am. One more question I would like to mention, ma'am. This is from Kalpana Surendra. She says, for GS1 India barcode, do we have reimbursements? For that, we don't see that. She's from, I think she's a manufacturer of blended spices, ready to eat and instant food products.
See, this was an earlier scheme of the Government of India, where we used to give 75% reimbursement for SMEs who have taken the barcode. But unfortunately, the scheme has closed, and so we are not able to continue giving the reimbursement.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. And last question, I would like to say that what are the new policies which were come out during the pandemic? This is from Harshit Purohit, who is a doctor.
New policies in the sense, there are no technical policies as such. There were financial assistance which was announced by our finance minister. According to her, there is an emergency credit guarantee scheme which existing SMEs or MSMEs. When I say SMEs, it means small and medium enterprises. And when I say MSMEs, it means micro, small and medium enterprises. So the existing MSMEs can avail the emergency credit guarantee scheme of the Government of India, wherein you will get some amount funding from the bank to continue your existing enterprise. This is to encourage people who are affected by the pandemic and to see that they do not close down.
Sure. So I think that's about it, about the questions. If there is anything which you would like to touch upon, ma'am, it will be anything will be helpful for MSMEs. Please feel free.
In the chat box, I see that people want, there are a few entrepreneurs who want to know what are the special funding program for women entrepreneurs like that. So I would also like to add, there is no special support or special funding as such for women or for socially backward entrepreneurs. It is just that the reimbursement amount is more, the interest rates are less, and they are given more preference, they are given encouragement, and there is a 4% also, I'm sorry, there's a 3% purchase thing for the central PSUs. PSUs can take 3% of their products manufactured from the women entrepreneurs and 4% from the SC/ST entrepreneurs. So there's a limited separate funding, you can say directives, or there's a special reimbursement of 0.5% more than the general male entrepreneur.
Sure, ma'am. So I have just put across the numbers and details where Suman ma'am can be reached out. And you can always reach out to me. I have also put down my details as well. For any queries in terms of the MSME schemes and opportunities, you can actually reach out to Mrs. Suman, ma'am. We will also be, creating a WhatsApp group for all the participants, and so that you can stay connected. And you should be able to exchange your thoughts in terms of the MSMEs or MSME perspectives. You can discuss within the group also. We will be sharing the feedback form with you, and the basic and in terms of how the session has been, and anything else which you would like to know in the future. We would love to bring in such and certain sessions which can help in the future as well. So feel free to give us your feedback, and I will be sharing the sharing the survey form in the chat group, and also after I create the WhatsApp. If they are interested, you can say yes in the feedback form, and we will have you added to the WhatsApp group. So we had a wonderful session about almost 2 hours, and it's been awesome journey. I think it's been almost 2.5 hours, and there's a lot of insights were shared by Mrs. Ishween. Ishween, like I said, she comes from almost 20 plus years of experience in the branding and IPR, branding in specific, and you can actually reach out to her for anything relevant to branding. Yeah. That's about it. And if there is anything which you would like to talk or have questions, I hope we were able to answer all your questions. Thank you so much for joining, and it's been wonderful to host this webinar.